Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's so great that you've tuned in. We've spent a long time getting the stream to work. We're so glad you're here.
We're going to be waiting a couple minutes for more people to join the live until we get started.
Yeah. Ever since as early as December, we planned a actual physical climate protest for this day, April 24th, the Friday after Earth Day. And then COVID-19 just happened to close basically everything. And so we are now appearing on your screens instead, like so many other things. All right, let's just hear a bit about everyone.
So I'm Mariah White. I'm in 11th grade at Pineview, and I'm part of Sarasota Students for Climate.
I'm Ella Merman. I am also in 11th grade at Booker High School. I'm part of Sarasota Students for Climate, and my pronouns are she, her.
Hi, I'm Vikasha Shrestha. I'm in 11th grade at Southeast High School, and I'm with Environmentors.
Hi, my name is Simone. I'm also a junior at Southeast High School. I'm with Environmentors, and I use she and her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Devin Gulliver. I'm an 8th grader at Pineview School. I'm with Sarasota Students for Climate. My pronouns are him and his. All right, great. We've got 4 people watching right now. That's what it looks like. So we're so glad you're here. Let's jump right into the first thing.
Hi, everyone. Just so you know, this is an interactive live, so please comment, interact with us, ask questions. We're going to start with a brief introduction of our 2 organizations. So I'm on behalf of Sarasota Students for Climate, would like to talk about our initiative. We are a local student-based organization based in Sarasota County, and we meet with all different schools in Sarasota high schools and middle schools, and we organize the strikes in Sarasota. We've also been working on other initiatives such as education through the high schools, and hopefully working on eventually some other really exciting initiatives.
Awesome. I'll talk a little bit about Environmentors. So we're a student-led organization. We're based in the Manatee County and Bradenton area. And yeah, we like to address environmental issues through education, civic engagement, and empowerment. We really enjoy spreading awareness about issues like climate change and making sure that everybody is aware of, how important it is that we act on it. And yeah, we are also planning out some upcoming initiatives. Obviously, we can't do much right now in this pandemic, but yeah, you should stay tuned for some of our future projects.
All right.
So to start off, we're going to be playing a Truths and a Lie. And basically how that'll work is we're going to read out 3 statements. One of them is, so if you in the comments say which one you think is a lie, we'll tell you the numbers. And then we'll talk about which one is a lie, and we'll discuss why it's a lie and why that might be surprising. So our first topic is about environmental displacement. One, according to the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, there were 18.8 million new disaster-related internal displacements recorded in 2017. Number 2, over 143 million people, or 2.8% of the population, is predicted to be forced to migrate by 2050 if climate action is not taken soon. And number 3, also by the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, records of worldwide period from 2008 to 2018, about 100 million people were displaced internally as a response to environmental disasters. So we'll give you a couple seconds to comment in the live chat.
All right, I think everyone's responded by now. Let's go ahead and see the answers. I don't think I was correct.
Even though the second one may seem like it's a lie, it's not. Over 143 million people really could be forced to migrate by 2050 through natural disasters and environmental disasters like monsoons, hurricanes, and tsunamis. And so many environmental disasters cause mass displacement of people, especially in less economically developed countries. So the lie was actually the third one, and that's because between 2008 and 2018, it wasn't 100 million people that were displaced internally, it was actually 265.3 million people. So over double that amount. So if that amount surprised you, it's really a ton more.
Yeah, shocking to me. 100 million is already a large number.
Would anybody else like to add on to or comment about or question these statistics? And just so everybody knows, we're making a document with all of our sources after this live stream.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting just because you think that climate change is like a future issue, like we're trying to prevent it, but it's already here in like very large quantities and numbers. We just don't hear about it.
In ways, it's as current as the current pandemic and about as deadly as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess let's move on to the next question.
Okay, well, now moving on to animal agriculture, and same thing. So 1.5 acres of rainforest are cleared every second. That's the first one. Number two, by following a diet free of animal products, one cuts their carbon footprint in half, uses 1/11th oil, 1/3 the water, and 1/18th land. 1/13th the water and 1/18th the land. And number three is the production of 100 hamburgers uses 660 gallons of water, or 2 months of showering, or 3 months of toilet flushes.
So same thing, just comment 1, 2, or 3 for whichever one you think is the lie.
That's great.
If everybody commented by now. I'm gonna reveal which one's the lie. Lie is number 3. The production of 100 hamburgers uses 660 gallons of water. Actually, only one production of hamburger uses that much water.
And
Which
it's
is
true.
no, go ahead.
And it's true that 1.5 acres of rainforest are cleared every second, and most rainforests are cleared to make more space for animal agriculture.
So, if no one has any questions or any more comments, I'll start with local facts on the Sarasota-Bradenton area for climate change. So, in Sarasota-Bradenton area, Florida, climate change has been shown to be linked to red tide blooms. Or Florida is the 3rd state with the most real estate risk due to climate change. Or by the year 2045, nearly 30,200 homes in Florida will flood every week. Which one is false?
And for everyone who just joined, just a reminder, we're playing 2 truths and a lie, so comment the number of the statement that you think is a lie.
So Chantel thinks the second one is false. Another really interesting thing that has happened locally that I know of is that due to the climate zones are expanding, so the warmth and the climates required for mangroves to grow and like mangrove woods almost is now spreading up to North Florida where it shouldn't be, which is a super interesting thing. Like it just shows that species are now acclimating to the climate change, and the actual placement of mangrove trees are moving onward. So
right, and to kind of like tailor off of that, it's not just like species in Florida that are doing that. We're seeing like a whole shift in disruption of ecosystems where ecosystems are starting to adapt to move northward, and this is disruptive to like human agriculture too. So our crops, we normally plant oranges and citrus here in the south, but we're going to have to start moving those crops upward, and that money, that an income that those crops bring in will now go to northern states because it'll get too hot in certain parts of Florida to keep planting those citrus crops.
Yeah, so it's a huge issue. So for this, Florida is the 3rd state with the most real estate at risk due to climate change. That's false. It's actually the 1st most at risk. We have the most to lose from the changes that are going to happen in the next couple of years.
So you could say instead of investing in a house, invest in a boat.
We'll be underwater.
Yeah, I think Florida's really at risk of climate change because 2 of our main industries, which are tourism and agriculture, are both going to be really affected by climate change. I think that people in Florida, I mean, yeah, it's a big risk. So.
And it's not just real estate that's at risk, it's also tourism, because we're going to experience higher tides and higher sea levels. That is going to cause beach erosion and bring flying in, which will have a huge impact on tourism, which is obviously a industry in Florida.
My house is barely 6 feet underwater. It's kind of scary sometimes to think that if the sea literally rises maybe a yard, 2 yards, my house is practically underwater. Let's see what our viewers said. At 5:12, Chantal in the Sun said, "I think the second is false." 2 minutes later, she said, "Ha, I knew it." Good job, Chantal in the Sun. All right. We must have a couple more questions to do.
Yep. The next one we're going to talk about is climate justice. So let's bring up those facts. Okay. So the first statement that we have is 78% of African Americans live within 30 miles of a coal-fired power plant. All right, you can kind of see the results there, but white populations are exposed to 17% more pollution than they produce. And then the third one is Hispanic populations are exposed to 63% more pollution than they produce. And as you guys saw from the screen before, obviously the second one is false. It's actually the same number, but white populations are exposed to 17% less pollution than they produce. So you can clearly see the disparity there in exposure to air pollution. I think the big aspect of climate change that should be addressed is climate justice. And that kind of involves, different racial groups and especially indigenous communities as well, being more at risk to the effects of climate change. And statistics like these really prove the disparity in it as well. So.
I must say, that was quite fun. Ooh, we hit 10 viewers. 10 people are looking at our live stream, and we are only about 15 minutes in. Thanks, everyone, for your support.
So next we're going to talk about climate anxiety, and we have a couple statements for you, and we're going to read them out loud, and you get to rate them on how much you believe with them, or you experience them from 1 to 5. So 5 means that you strongly agree, and 1 would basically be that you never felt the statement at all, or you have no relation with it.
All right, so let's get started. I'm just going to put the rules up so everyone can see as we do this. So the first statement I want you guys to sort of rate is, I often feel helpless about the climate crisis.
So I know for me, that's definitely a hard 4. I definitely have experienced hopelessness and feelings of helplessness and anxiety about the climate crisis. And I think that it used to be a 5, but I definitely think that once I started taking action and initiative and getting involved in climate action, it helped bring that number down. And I definitely think that making sure that you're involved and knowing that you're doing your part in preventing the climate crisis will really help your feelings of helplessness and anxiety as you experience them.
Same. I'd say I'm at like a 4 as well. I think that with a really big global issue like the climate crisis, it's kind of easy to feel really individualized and kind of small and do collective effort. But again, like Ella said, I think if you put a lot of your energy and focus into organizing and sparking discussion about it, I feel like it does take away that bit of helplessness and inaction that you might feel. So I think just doing it on your own initiative can also really help us all.
All right.
Okay.
So the second statement we have on our list, someone else want to read it?
Yeah, sure. I can get it. I think that the climate crisis should be dealt with immediately. For me, that's obviously a really big 5. I think that it's also really important because it intersects with a lot of different issues. Like we saw before with the Two Truths and a Lie game, there's aspects of equality in it, and just how we, it affects almost every aspect of our daily lives, from everything down to what we eat and what we drive in. So I think that it's a really pressing issue, and I don't think it's being dealt with enough, and I think that it should definitely be more of a priority for, global leaders and politicians.
Yeah, let alone, I also think it's a 5 because everyone always complains, especially political parties, about the expense of climate change and not allocating towards it now, but in the future, the damages and when the infrastructure isn't in place, it's going to be over 3 times the amount. of costs that would be now, and it won't even last as long. You don't want to be reacting to natural disaster. You want to be prepared for it before it happens. So
Essentially, time is running out to deal with the climate crisis, so I'm going to have to say, yes, I strongly agree that the climate crisis should be dealt with immediately.
Okay, number 3. So our generation knows the consequences of the climate crisis, but it doesn't take it very seriously.
I know for me personally, I think it's like probably 4. There's a lot of people who do care and who are out there, but the big majority is just they're way too overwhelmed. They understand what's happening, and it's just kind of like, well, it's just going to happen. I'm just going to live my life while I can kind of attitude.
I think there's like also part of it of like we're not old enough to like elect people we wanted to Congress, or like just locally too. Like we're able to protest and like do things we can as minors, but then there's also like big part of it incorporating like lawmakers into the vision that we see.
Yeah, I feel like almost everyone I talk to like knows how serious it is and like how it directly affects our future. But I think we kind of brush it off in a sense to deal with how scary and uncertain it is. So I think that while I understand how that's a way to cope with the situation, I think that we should also be moving on from that and start taking action on our uncertainty and fear, because maybe global leaders and politicians won't do that for us. So I think that it's important that we take initiative as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it's around a 4 also, because I agree with what Mariah was saying about there are a good amount of us who take it seriously, and I don't think that people necessarily don't take it seriously, but I think that a lot of our generation is too scared or feels hopeless or even powerless, because we are the ones who are going to be the most affected by the climate crisis, but we're also the ones who have the least political power, and we're not able to vote or elect officials. So it's a much harder to make change and get people to pay attention to us than it would be if we were older. And I think that those feelings of powerlessness and hopelessness are translated into like actions of fearlessness and passiveness towards the climate crisis. So the other statement is, I find it hard to talk about climate change with older generations.
Personally, I've dealt with this. My parents don't believe in climate change. I generally find it around a 3. You really don't know what you're going to get. Either people praise you for talking about it, or, like believing the science, being like, oh, I'm glad you actually understand. Or you talk to someone and they're like, that is fake. That's been manipulated. The data's manipulated. So it's like, it's either one. You don't really necessarily know what you're going to get. It can be really hard, or it can be easy.
Yeah, I would say a 3 as well, because I think that my parents and most of my relatives know about climate change, but I think they kind of like brush it off a little bit, and I think I'm like overreacting a bit when I focus on it a lot. And I think they're always like, well, you should pursue your education right now and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't really get like a lot of opposition, but I also am met with like, a disinclination to like act and all that. So I would say a 3 as well.
And I think that everyone, no matter their like cultural or their diverse backgrounds, will have a different experience talking with older generations about climate change. And I think that all of them are perfectly valid. And if you want to comment about your experience or reach out to us individually, I think we'd all be happy to talk to you about that, because it's something that can be really personal. And I think that a lot of people, especially our generation, are scared to reach out to their parents and relatives and say, this cause is important to me. But if you have the right tools to explain to your parents or those relatives why it's scary for you and what necessarily like appeal to their concerns, I think that maybe we can make an impact in starting to get the older generations to understand our feelings of panic and anxiety surrounding this crisis. So think that everyone's experiences are valid. And I know I personally also, my parents most definitely had conflict with relatives telling me climate change isn't real for religious beliefs or whatever. And in their truth, that's valid. But I think that we need to start being able to explain to them why we feel this way.
All right, there is one more item on the list. I want to do my part in combating climate change, but I don't know how to start.
I'm not gonna say I feel applied for this one because I think that I've already started to take initiative, but I know I think a lot of people that I know may feel like a 4 or 5 on this one because I think that again going back to that whole idea of like it being easy to feel really helpless and sort of small in the grand scheme of like climate change in the entire world. I think a lot of people don't know how to start or how to actually step up and protect their planet, but I also think that just, following and looking into the different climate organizations, there's many that you can look into, is like a great place to start. Obviously, if you're not comfortable with like doing direct action in the community, you can always find a lot of tips and information with those climate organizations, and they really do provide a strong base of support for whatever you want to pursue in the future in terms of like climate activism. So I think that's like a really good place to start.
And I know another place, if you don't know where to start, in the beginning I didn't know where to start either, but if you want to try to start moving towards trying to not consume as many dairy or animal products, or maybe eliminating meat from your diet, it's also a good thing to do. I know me and Ella have done that. Ella is vegan now.
There's also, I think, 2 aspects of getting involved in combating climate change, and everyone has to find their own degree of climate activism or action that they want to pursue. And I think that part of it will be your personal actions, and that could be possible cutting down your meat or dairy or animal product consumption, starting to ride your bike more or carpool more, or being more conscious of your transportation, being more conscious of your plastic intake, or your fashion, your love for buying things, thinking about your consumption and buying more secondhand instead of from big industries and businesses. So there's personal, but there's also, if you are interested in getting involved in activism, you can absolutely reach out to any of us, and we have so many resources to connect you. And if you want to be involved in organizing events and participating in more systemic change or climate striking or lobbying, I think that if you reach out to any of us, or even email us or just make a connection with us, and we'll be happy to help you, whether you live in Sarasota or Manatee County.
So I know we have some people listening on the live stream. Do you guys want to continue with the more facts and true and falses? So I think we can finish it up with just a overall general overview. So we're gonna do one more time facts, which ones are true or false. One wind turbine can generate enough electricity to power the annual needs of 500 homes. Or the fast fashion industry emits more carbon than international flights and maritime shipping combined. Or the 20 warmest years on record occurred in the past 22 years. One is false.
So, now.
All right, so we've just hit 30 minutes of live streaming. I mean, it's really been cool setting this up, setting this whole thing up and going live for you. And it looks like we've even have people watching us right now. This has been really cool. And for however long this continued, I think we should do another one of these. You?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we'll publish this live. We'll post it on it'll stay on our YouTube so that you can get people to watch it if you think that it was a productive live. And we'll definitely be posting it to our Sarasota Students for Climate Facebook. And our Sarasota, you can find both of our organizations on Instagram at Sarasota Students for Climate and at We Are Environmentors. So feel free to reach out to any of us. We are here to get people involved in the climate movement. And I just want to close out by talking a little bit about how people can still participate in climate action because it is still early in quarantine. So we have several initiatives that we've been working on. So obviously you've done a great start by watching this live stream and taking the time to educate yourself on climate anxiety and coping mechanisms. And I know that there are plenty of other live broadcasts that you can still catch if you go to Earth Day Live, or even if you just go to Instagram and look up different organizations or look up different organizations that might be doing live stream. That can be a really good way to educate yourself on the climate crisis. You can also take a climate strike online picture. So if you make a sign and then take a picture of you doing a quarantine strike and send it to us, we'll post it online and you're still doing your strike. It's just safe and in quarantine. And also have email templates for everyone to email universities demanding divestment, and also templates for everyone to contact their local representatives and tell them why the climate should be on their priority agenda and why it's one of the most important issues of today.
All right.
Do you have any?
We've got a couple more people in the YouTube chat. Chantal is back again saying you guys are doing a really good job, so thank you. And then Dina Craig says, great job, guys. So thank you all for your support. It's been really fun. I
Thank
guess
you.
we're
Bye.
closing now.
Yes.
Bye, thank you.